Hello, and welcome to our Take Your Child to Work Day special presentation, Astro-animation, from punching an asteroid to supermassive black holes and more. My name is Claire Andreoli from the Office of Communications at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, and I work as a public affairs officer in our astrophysics division. Goddard is home to the nation's largest organization of engineers, scientists, and technologists. It is here at Goddard that they build spacecraft and new technologies to study Earth, the Sun, our solar system, and even beyond. Also from the Office of Communications and working behind the scenes today is our producer, Travis Wohlrab, and Nanette Harris, who is providing Q&A support. When you get a chance, use the chat box located to the right and tell us your name, what you want to be when you grow up, or your college major. You may get a shout out at the end of the presentation. Also use the chat box to ask questions and we'll answer them after the presentations. To enable closed captioning, hover over your mouse over the video and click the CC button. If you don't see the CC button or the chat box, open the presentation in another browser. We find that Firefox and Chrome tend to work best. Now, in my job, I have the pleasure to work with video producers and animators who bring the science coming out of Goddard to life. Today, we have with us some amazing student presenters from the Maryland Institute College of Art who worked closely with Goddard scientists to turn NASA data and science into wonderful animations. We're going to watch a 15-minute playlist of these animations before hearing from our students and participating in a Q&A session. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the individuals who worked with these students on their creations. You're going to hear from Professor Arcadius, who is an animation professor at the Maryland Institute College of Art. And then you're going to hear from Dr. Robin Corbett, who is a senior research scientist from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and an astrophysicist in the Sciences and Exploration Directorate right here at Goddard. I'd like to remind presenters to turn their cameras on when speaking if you are able to, and with that, I will turn it over to Professor Arcadius.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Laurence, and we are delighted to be here. So we want to thank everybody to let us having this great presentation. And so I'm very excited, of course, to by the work of my students, and I hope you are going to love it. It's very rich and amazing, and it's a lot of work also, just to let you know. Animation is a wonderful but very intense process. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the great scientists who were able to share their science with us. That was so inspiring, and also to serve as mentors all along the process. And especially Andrea Jones I wanted to thank her for putting us in contact with all those great people. So the type of animation that we are going to see today is different from the NASA visualization that you may use to see usually. Here, it's more an artistic response to a scientific problem. So it's seen through this lens of art. So the film can be whimsical or poetic or funny, but at the same time, they are true to science. They come from a science factor. And hopefully that's going to trigger some curiosity for you about science. So after the film are shown, the students are going to talk. Each team is going to talk about their process. And now I'm going to to pass to Dr. Robin Corbett.
Thanks very much, Laurence. It's really great to be here again, and as always, it's an amazing time to be working with these students, and the scientists have been helping them with the projects as well. So just to very quickly mention the types of things you're going to be seeing. The first one is going to be about Jupiter's icy moon Europa and the possibilities that life could exist there. And that's an animation done by Isabel Giller, Corinth Boone, and Ray Bricker. Following that, the asteroids wiped out dinosaurs. The DART mission is on its way to intercept an asteroid to help save Earth. And that's an animation done by Noah Wolf and Leia Mattox. The third one is celebrating the 10th anniversary of the amazing NuSTAR X-ray telescope. And that is an animation done by Sofia Maldonado Feliciano, Lydia Mastrangelo, and Molly Mignano. And then after that, we have something to do with the tiny BurstCube satellite, which is going to see amazing things, which is going to be launched later this year. That's done by B. Salvador, Romina Nunez, and Paige Hunt. Following that, we'll move on to supermassive black holes and how they play with our magnetic field surrounding them. This is done by Simon McClendon and Soumya Chava. Still with supermassive black holes, they can launch very speedy jets, but some of them can be not quite so speedy. So Jet's Journey is done by Nicole Jordan, Maya Sohesh, and Ike Osere. We have a bonus one. So due to the pandemic situation last year, some of the students' films couldn't be shown. So we have one additional one from last year, which is to do with the possibility of the perfect planet around the star TRAPPIST-1, which was done by Lakeisha Felton and Leonard Foreman. So I believe we're going to watch these great animations now.
the speed of light. Able to grow in mass. Takes no guts from anyone in its way. Giant's jet quasar, a relativistic jet from M87. Whether friend or foe, we'll never know, but it sure would be a messier place without him. Jet quasar, the man of tomorrow. Hey.
Wow, you guys, that was amazing. Thank you so much. Now let's hear a little bit about how those got made. Let's start with the first group of presenters. Over to you guys.
Hello, are we good to go? Okay, so my name is Ray Bricker. I'm here with my partners Isabel Giller and Corinth Boone, and together we worked with scientist Sabrina Thompson to create our animation that we titled Cosmic Exploration Europa Edition. So our animation is based off of the work that Sabrina and her team are currently doing, and that it's working to send a few small satellites to Jupiter's moon called Europa. They suspect there's a possibility of life that could be found within its subterranean oceans. So for our actual animation, we decided to convert this into a story about satellites, kind of house hunting for their dream home on the moon of Europa, kind of like you see those reality TV shows where people look for houses. So we began with character designing the actual satellites that would be going. We knew we would need at least 3 of them, so we made one of them into more of like a real estate agent, and we assigned the other 2 to be like a couple looking for their house. They all have their own little connections to each other and function just as we kind of imagined satellites would be, so they can talk to each other and talk to people back home, quote unquote, as well. So that's what we did for character design. Basically Corinth's task was to kind of turn this harsh-ish looking moon into something that was a bit prettier, I guess. I mean, not that Europa's not pretty, but she was kind of focused on making this, focusing on the cold surface, making it look very cold. The fact that Europa is covered in ice, she wanted to highlight that. So we kind of had this blue ring around to showcase the ice and kept it warm in the middle to showcase the possibility of its volcanic activity below the surface and how it could be very warm under there. She also went on to create these beautiful backgrounds, as you saw in the animation, one showcasing a house made of this ice on the surface and a little apartment type thing in the underwater sections. Both are meant to be in the same place, but have different vibes. One more colder, one more warmer than the other. So that's the way we went about designing the environment and the characters. I'll now pass it to my other partner, Isabel, to talk about the actual production stages.
Okay, so I focused on taking the rough pass animation that Ray had done and adding the line art and other effects to the animation. So for the line art, I wanted the line art to fit in with Corinth's more painterly style backgrounds, so the line art ended up being more of a textured pencil look. It gave the characters a little bit more personality and prevented them from standing out too much on the background and helping them fit in more into their environment. Next, I started on coloring the animation, which Corinth and Ray both helped me with. And I also added in the effects and the backgrounds in editing, and everything compiled together is what brought us to our beautiful final product. And that is our website.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed our animation, and carry on to the next group.
Hello, everyone. My name is Noah Wolf, and this is my partner,
Leah, right here.
And this is our project, Saving Earth, which was done in collaboration with scientist Angela Stickle. So a brief little recap of what exactly DART is DART is a test being conducted to determine whether or not crashing a satellite into an asteroid to change its course can be used as a means of defending Earth against any future threats. The DART spacecraft was launched on November 24th, 2021, and is expected to make contact with its goal sometime in September of 2022, so sometime later this year, so something to look forward to. So our idea for this was, it's kind of hard to make something that's already so crazy even crazier, so we ended up turning the satellite into the lovable character that you guys ended up seeing in the film itself with Dart, and as like a superhero just sort of protecting Earth in one of its like theoretical missions.
All right, this was our character design for Dart. We kind of just gave him a body that seemed to work, and our small one to the right is a homage to what we were going for. Next one.
So these are just some backgrounds that you can see throughout the film that are meant to just show off, you know, space while also making it really cool and colorful, just with like some bright greens and everything. One of them you can see behind me right now. Thought it'd be, you know, fitting to put behind me as a little background. So.
And these were the character coloring slides parts that I did to sort of fit the backgrounds for like the moments where I did blue to represent Earth, and then the pinkish red to add some drama, and then the green is just, I guess, for a new life. So that, I mean, he died, but we're still alive, so that's pretty good. That's how that went.
So this is like a mood board that we did basically of all of like a few different inspirations for the colors and everything, you know, because when you're making you know, something like this, you really need some like good inspiration to get your, you know, mind running. So, and then also we have the storyboard, which is very messy, just a way for us to sort of jot down our ideas and make sure that we are ready to go and make an animation exactly how we want it. So yeah, that's it, and I hope you guys enjoyed our animation.
Hi, I'm Molly.
Hi, I'm Lydia.
Hi, I'm Sophia, and we're Decade of Discovery. Our scientist was Nasma, Katya, and Janet. So NuSTAR is the telescope. The telescope NuSTAR was launched in June 13, 2012, and it has since changed our understanding of the universe through its hard X-ray detectors. With 2 X-ray telescopes and one mass, it's available to pick up high-energy phenomena such as supermassive black holes, X-ray binary stars, and supernovas. We chose to depict these 2 as robotic characters, Nu, who detects, and Star, who snaps the pictures. So for our inspirations, we wanted to create a playful mood with likable characters based on NuSTAR. For inspiration, we looked at our favorite animated shows.
This is the preliminary sketches phase. This is where the storytelling begins. We started with sketches of the characters and the space creatures. We continued to narrow down the designs and the story. These sketches help us understand how they play and interact. So we start to give the characters personality, understanding how they move and how they interact with the environment as they're in, as well as exploring color. And meet our friends Nu and Star. These are the final designs that we decided on.
So here's a little look into the animation process. First, we start with the storyboard, which is like a plan for the animation. From there, we do some warm-up motion tests, which are great references for the final animation. Here's an example of a storyboard for motion for Nu and Star exploring. Here's an example with Nu opening up his chest for the gift towards the end. And here's a final example using the fish from the very beginning of the animation. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed. And if you want to know more, there's a QR code to our website.
Hello, can you hear me right? Okay, hello. My name is Romina. I'm here along with my my team, Patron and B. Salvador, and we are Team BurstCube, and we're going to talk about the production of our film, The Little BurstCube and the Big Booms. So our first task at hand was understanding what the purpose of the BurstCube was, and with the help of our scientist, Ismael Martinez, we were able to conclude that the BurstCube is a tiny satellite with a big purpose. It's able to detect gamma rays that occur when big cosmic entities collide, such as neutron stars, and then the BurstCube is able to report this information and send it back to telescopes and scientists back on Earth so they can do research on the information it records. And the BurstCube is set to launch later sometime this year, although that could change, I don't know. So from here, we decided to make our story about 2 neutron rock stars that are giving a galactic performance, and the BurstCube is able to detect it and show the world the amazing performance. So next, along our pipeline, we started doing some character designs. Here are the official designs of the big booms themselves, the 2 rocket neutron stars. And they were animated in 2D. And then next we have the little BurstCube, who was animated in 3D, and we're going to talk more about that later. Here are some of our initial concept sketches of the BurstCube. Not the BurstCube, the neutron stars. And for the most part, he stayed the same. Maybe he got a little sharper here and there. And finally, we have some concept art of the set design and the stage that the neutron stars were performing on. So next, I'm going to give it to Paige.
Hi, so I'm Paige, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our animation process. So the animating process is basically just, you draw the frames and then they move. So here's an example of all of the frames that goes into this little bowing animation that you saw in the film. And we focused on creating a lot of looping animations, so things that we can kind of use over and over again, or like we can just animate one small thing and make it last a while, which helps with our process.
So for the satellites and other equipment, such as the BurstCube, they were done mostly in 3D, or entirely, but minus the faces. So they were modeled as 3D objects and then shaded to look 2D to match the style of the stars. So behind the scenes, kind of just what my workspace looked like, it involved a little bit of some nodes for shading, and if you look in the bottom left, you can see kind of a grid-like texture that goes directly to the model. It's a very interesting process, so it's a lot of cool technical tidbits. Yeah, that was the satellites and the BurstCube.
And then with compiling, we had to put together a lot of files. There's a screenshot of just the work that I did. You could see all of the files down the sides and in the timeline, which is there at the bottom. Yeah, it takes a lot of things and effects and stuff to put together to create our finished product. And so, yeah, thank you, NASA, for the chance to present our work. Special thanks to the scientist Israel Martinez for working with us on our project. And of course, thank you for watching.
Hello. So, I'm Soumya.
I'm Simon.
And we'll be presenting what the work we put into a magnetic pole.
So our film is called Magnetic Pull, and it's about a boy playing a game that simulates the magnetic fields around a black hole, and the boy struggles to keep up with the increasing number of blocks. So there are magnetic fields that pulsate around black holes at the center of active galaxies, and the magnetic fields increase in density until a large explosion happens. And these are some storyboards that we had. The two images on the left are from a previous idea that we had about how to represent these active galaxies, but we ended up going with the second one with the child playing with the blocks.
So our final story was, as Simon said, the child playing with blocks, but we decided to go a little more fantastical with it by having the blocks fly around on the room and the kid using a magnet to collect them in a space-themed room. For the 3D process, it was a lot of building the assets in 3D, making the room in 3D, and texturing everything in 3D, but also having the camera be set in certain places so that the 2D animation can match up with the timing of the 3D blocks being animated. For the 2D process, it goes hand in hand where it's animating all the frames using the 3D camera angles so that everything in the end matched up perfectly. Thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Maya, and this is Jet, and we're going to tell you about the making of Jet's journey. So we talked with Kim about black holes, and black holes have these really powerful jets that shoot out of them and into the galaxy, but some of them are stronger than others. The weaker ones, the underdogs, as we like to call them, are subrelativistic jets, and that's what we are focusing on for our animation. So we took those subrelativistic jets and made them into Jet the character, and came up with this story of a hero's journey who ventures out into the stressful space environment and hopes to make a name for himself. But there are many obstacles along the way, so will he make it? We'll see. For the stop motion, our process was a little bit different. My partners Nicole and Ike worked on a character design, so you can see our preliminary sketches here. And then I took that and made a stop motion armature puppet. You can see sort of all the steps of the process here, from his skeleton to building up some bulk and then making his little costumes and backpack and goggles I all built by hand, and he's fully flexible. So we animated him by moving him a little bit at a time and then taking photos. And that is how we created the animation. This is what it looked like in the studio. So you can have a sense of scale. That's what it looked like taking the photos. And then
for reference, we wanted to make Jet as like wimpy looking as possible. We made a setup to show how impressive the relativistic jets are. So designing the characters, like, how do we define a character? Let's explain everything that he's not. So our main goal was just like, yeah, he's doing the same job as the powerful jets, but he's just very small and wimpy. Design-wise, there's a lot of different elements that kind of went into it, like aviator suits, pilots, and then jumpsuits, onesies from janitors, and that kind of like rolled into one. But at the end of the day, he's kind of like a failed flight cadet who looks up to the heroes that nobody really knows of. Other than that, we chose to do a green screen, mostly because we didn't really want to define a location or a space, and we were inspired by the Rocketeer, their production, for stunts that were too dangerous for actors. They used stop motion and puppets, so that's kind of how we rolled into having more mixed media and stop motion.
yeah, so this is what it looked like raw before there was any editing done on the green screen, and then Nicole did some 2D animation that we layered on there.
For our 2D animation process, we were inspired by films by an old animation studio that was very popular in the 50s. You might recognize their style from Mr. Magoo or Gerald McBoing Boing. They were called United Productions of America, and they specialized in creating very interesting and futuristic pieces of artwork with very somewhat limited animation, but we were inspired by the modern artwork that they had, and we decided to incorporate that into our film. A lot of what we were simple loops that could be repeated over and over again to help portray
In addition to the animation, both stop motion and 2D digital, we also incorporated video assets of these. On the top are paint swirling in water that look like cool space, and then also some hand-drawn backgrounds. So all those things were layered together to create the final film, and that's how we achieved our crazy journey with Jet through space.
A lot of mixed media animation, and some there was some rotoscoping scenes and like found objects kind of bashed together as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, those presentations were amazing. You guys are so talented. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us. We're going to transition now into the Q&A portion of this event. And I want to remind our presenters, anyone who's going to answer a question, please remember to turn your cameras on if you can. So I'm going to start now with a question from the chat. Which is from Dina. Is it possible to see the animations later? Is this going to be recorded? And I can just go ahead and take that one and confirm that this is going to be recorded so everyone can watch it back at their leisure when we conclude the live portion of the program today. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but also we have a website called Astro-animation.org. All these animations will be uploaded to there, and the ones from previous years are there, and there's a bunch of other information as well. So, as well as the recording today, if you'd like to go to Astro-animation.org, everything's there. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We have another question that has come in, and this isn't for anyone specific, so anyone who wants to answer the question can just jump in. If you could create another NASA animation, what would that be and why? Someone want to take that?
I can take that. Hi, my name's Sophia. I did NuSTAR, and one of the things I wanted to create more was I want to expand more with the characters that we created for NuSTAR. I feel like NuSTAR did 10 years of a lot of discovery, so I wish to add more characters, add more animals, and it'd be really fun to animate more of the animal aspect of NuSTAR and their discoveries.
Awesome, thank you. I see we have a hand raised from one of our presenters, so go ahead and jump right in. You are.
I wanted to. I worked on Jet's journey, and I kind of wanted to continue work on. I wanted to flesh out the Jet Quasar mock intro that we had in the beginning, to kind of that focused on the relativistic jets from supermassive black holes. I recorded a lot of dialogue of that character, even though I knew we weren't going to use him. It was kind of just like a throwaway joke. But I really kind of got invested in learning more about black holes and trying to figure out how to design the sound of things that we haven't really found or heard yet. So yeah, it was kind of a really cool process that I want to continue doing.
Well, I know if I were able to make another animation for NASA, I would love to make something about Pluto and the dwarf planets, because I know I was very emotionally invested in Pluto being demoted from a main planet to a dwarf planet. I was upset that Pluto was going to be all by itself until my younger brother informed me that there are lots and lots of other dwarf planets. So I think it would be really fun to make an animation about Pluto and its dwarf planet friends, if that was ever a possibility.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing those answers, you guys. Let's go to another question now. So all of you had an opportunity to work with a NASA scientist throughout this process. Does someone want to answer, if this was your first opportunity working with a NASA scientist, what was that like for you?
I really enjoyed it. Talking with Kim, like off the bat, she was kind of telling us that subrelativistic jets are the underdogs in their galaxy, and she was like, "Oh yeah, they're the losing team." And like from there, we're just like, "Well, our main character is the loser," and we kind of like worked with that. So yeah, it's just really fun to kind of get that like information and insight, but like with personalized stories from the research, translated and kind of like let us flesh out like this imaginary universe.
Awesome. Does one of our other presenters have something else to share?
I think Noah raises hand. Yes.
I was going to say I agree with a lot of what Ike said, that it was definitely a new experience, but it was a lot of fun. It was really great working with Angela. Like, even from the first discussion, Angela was just always very nice about it, and like being able to work so closely with a scientist on like animation is something so different than anything else I've done so far at my time at MICA, because it's just so like out there. Like normally when I think of animation, I tend to, even as an animator, think of it as more of just entertainment, but this was also just reaching into like education, and I thought that was really fun. And just Angela being so excited about our project and like interested in us giving our take on the project that they're working so hard on was just really great.
Fantastic. Ramina, did you have something to add?
Yes, hello. So I will admit, at first it felt like slightly intimidating, because you think of NASA and it's like a huge, just, corporation with all these like super intelligent scientists and everything. So you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be working with one of these people. But it was actually like pretty easygoing, and it was not what I exactly expected. And once we had the perspective of like, we're having this exchange of, talent and information, like we're learning about science and they're learning about animation, there came that like understanding that this is not just like all about science or only about animation. Like, I don't know, it was very interesting for sure. And I really appreciate our scientist, Israel, for being so easygoing and like basically kind of giving us like free opportunity to do whatever we wanted. So it was very, very cool.
Awesome. That's great. It's so great to hear everyone's unique experiences working with these scientists. We have another question from the chat. Robbie's dad wants to know, he says that his teen daughter is very interested in animation and wants to know if anyone can recommend any good online communities for animators who are just starting out, and give her some encouragement and tips.
I think that a good place to start off would be like Instagram. For me, I find a lot of resources off of Instagram, and just going into like hashtags about animation or finding a specific animator that you like and following them on there. I think that's a really good thing. Also, putting your stuff out on something like Instagram is a really good way to get maybe not like a ton of publicity, but like just to get people to know your name and to put your work out there. And it's just a really good way to start communicating with other people in like the art space, just somewhere on social media. I guess it doesn't have to be Instagram. It can be whatever social media, but I think people don't really think about the power that has, because it's really just a way to connect with other people through there. So I would recommend that.
I would recommend Newgrounds. It's hear me out. It's a website that kind of provides so much for animators and creators, actually, just music, animation, games. But the community helps you with like animation jams where everybody gets together and collaborates, and they hold contests. I remember when I was a teen, I entered a Christmas contest, and Tom Pope saw it, and he gave me a tablet for winning one of them. So it's like a good place to kind of get involved. It doesn't matter your level of talent or whatever, just get involved to post anything. You'll get feedback. Even if it's harsh, it'll make you better. It'll encourage you to get better.
I think when it came to knowing how to start, it was intimidating because I had no access to software or tablets. And one of the things I joined in the community was joining groups. So I was in WIA, that's Women in Animation. I was in the Latinx in Animation groups. It's really nice to just sit down and talk to people who are also have the same interests as you, not necessarily animate, but have a love for animation like you do. And I started animating in college, having the love for it, but realizing that like I can also do it myself. And I think like when it comes to that is like looking for resources like WIA, like we started like our own community at MICA also. We're SAFI, Student Animators for Inclusion, and it's just like starting a community and finding resources that you can talk to.
Well, I think community is super important. I think one of the best things that you can do for love and growing as an artist and eventually an animator is to just draw all the time, draw from life, draw from your imagination, and just like get used to creating and like have fun and figure out what it is that you like to make. Because I think having a unique vision probably speaks to all of the different animations that we all made. Like having a unique vision can really like help yourself and be encouraged to keep.
If I may, I think everyone's advice so far was golden. Like, I will second everything that's been said. Another really, something that's helped me is to branch out, to experiment, to not limit yourself in any way to medium. So try 3D, try 2D, try stop motion, see what you like. And as everyone else has been saying, put yourself out there, even though it's a bit scary. It's so beneficial. You meet so many people. So just the bravery of putting yourself out there and totally exploring new things all the time. There's amazing resources on the internet, YouTube. You can learn almost anything now, free of charge. So use the technological resources you have, and good luck.
And of course, taking some classes at MICA could also be very beneficial for animation.
Adding on to what B had said, a great community, now depending on parents' comfort level with their children on the internet, there is a resource that a lot of people use full of communities called Discord. And I know plenty of artists do have communities for their fans and stuff like that. I know I've met plenty through those communities, and you can speak to other artists and get like really wonderful feedback from other people who are also interested in the same area, especially if it's fandom based. So obviously that's something to discuss with a parent if you're a younger teen, but I know it's been very beneficial for myself as an artist, and YouTube is a great space, like B had said. So highly recommend looking at YouTube, looking up animations of book series and TV shows of the characters from that. It's fantastic to use as inspiration and just to learn the basics of anatomy and getting into animation. You can start with any medium.
This was so great, guys. Thank you so much for sharing all of these tips. I'm sure that some young people who are watching right now are getting really excited thinking about all the ways that they can get into animation. I am really, really sad to say that we are out of time for more questions, but we will see about getting some of these other questions in the chat answered after the program here. So I'd like to wrap up by thanking our speakers and our viewers for participating in today's presentation. I do want to give a special shout out to all of the students who have been watching this presentation today. I do want to give a special shout out to Lucy, who is 8 years old, and she wants to be an astronaut and go to Mars when she grows up. So good luck, Lucy. We'll be watching for you. And we encourage you to participate in some of the other Take Your Child to Work Day online activities and resources that we have available. There is an employee spotlight section that offers a glimpse into the diversity of people and STEM careers at NASA. So go take a look, because you may be surprised by the careers that you find. And big things are happening at NASA. For instance, did you know that we are preparing to send the first woman and person of color to the moon as part of the Artemis program? And we're going to use what we learned there to send the first astronauts to Mars. Looking at you, Lucy. Check out the links to learn more and play games. There is also a STEM engagement section that includes intern experiences and internship information. And we're building a diverse future of the STEM workforce by trying to engage students in authentic learning experiences with the people of NASA, allowing them to contribute to our work in exploration and discovery. So please come and join us. And thank you for participating today, and we hope you have an amazing day.